A forensic expert has spoken out on what has happened in the Gene Hackman and his wife Betty's passing, and he has pointed out some things that everybody in the media missed. Let's get into this. Okay, guys, if you don't know, new information has come out. We all know the scene. However, a new forensic analysis expert has entered, and he has some really disturbing observations. The first being that Gene might have passed away first. Betty was alive when Gene actually passed. On top of that, he is also focusing in on the dog in the bathroom. Remember how I was like, well, maybe the dog was shut in the bathroom. What could be going on? What was the condition of the dog? Well, he has some theories. You guys, let's get into this report. The forensic expert, and he is a forensic pathologist, Dr. Michael Baden, has shared his theory on how Gene and his wife Betsy and their dog passed away after their bodies were discovered on Wednesday. Now, just hear this out and listen to the end, because I guarantee you it's things that you did not know before. He's saying that Gene and Betsy's passing, as well as that of their dog, could be the result of a tragic accident. However, he says this raises more questions than answers, because the possibility, statistically, of a tragic accident happening in this nature, of this likelihood, is 1 in a trillion. Now, they're saying, a criminal investigation into the deaths of Gene and Betty was launched Wednesday after New Mexico authorities found the 95-year-old actor and the 65-year-old classical pianist and one of their dogs passed in their Santa Fe home under circumstances deemed suspicious. Now, if you guys don't remember, the Santa Fe Sheriff's Department officials have said that there's no obvious signs of foul play and no external trauma was seen on either Gene or Betty. After preliminary autopsies were completed, the Santa Fe Sheriff, Aiden Mendoza, confirmed that yes, the couple did in fact test negative for carbon monoxide, and they gave the actual time of passing. They said it was likely 9 days before their body was discovered. Again, 9 days before the bodies were discovered. Keep in mind also that the daughters were really pushing with carbon monoxide. Now, I know a lot of people viewed that suspiciously. However, people did come and point out the obvious. Gene's daughters are in their 60s. There's no little kids. They didn't travel that much because maybe it was hard for them to travel too. On top of that, when you get into it, maybe they're saying carbon monoxide because they're in a state of shock and they don't want to believe that it was anything nefarious. However, during a recent appearance, the forensic specialist Baden explained that Gene's pacemaker, which the sheriff said last recorded at an event on February 17th, offers the key clue. He says that event would have had to have been a cardiac arrest caused by an abnormal pulse rate. The pacemaker keeps track of the pulse, and when it gets down too low, it discharges, and that's all in the record. Now, here's the thing I want to say. If that's all in the record, then the police, when they upgraded this to a criminal investigation, okay, and this is reported by Fox News and I believe MSNBC News, that it's been upgraded to a criminal investigation, not just suspicious. That means that pacemaker keeps electronic records of even when your heart starts moving quickly, when you're startled, when you're afraid. So they can actually, if they look at the pacemaker's last hours, they can see whether he was under stress, duress, even if his last moments, was it elevated? I think that will be key information. Whatever happened to Gene Hackman, if it was something nefarious, I don't think those people counted on the pacemaker actually keeping a chronicle. Now get this. He said the autopsy showed he didn't have an injury. There was no carbon monoxide, and Gene had the most common cause of death in this country: severe heart disease, coronary artery disease, and high blood pressure, perhaps, from what's being released. So that would cause him, having cardiac arrest in the mudroom, to collapse right there. I mean, you would think that would cause them, but there was no actual cause given. Now, they said in the search warrant released by Santa Fe Sheriff's Office and obtained by Fox News Digital, investigators stated that they found Gene's body on the floor in the mudroom and with a walking cane and sunglasses nearby. So if he had a walking cane and sunglasses nearby and it was in the mudroom, that means that he was about to go out for a walk when he collapsed. Okay? Now listen to this. According to the documents, the detectives suspected that the actor may have suddenly fallen. Now, the forensic pathologist shared his theory that Betty's death may have occurred after Jean's pacemaker stopped while she was trying to help her husband. He says the affidavit stated that Betty was found on the ground in a bathroom with a space heater near her head. An orange prescription bottle was found near Betty also, according to a search warrant. Now, again, it appeared to be open with pills scattered on the countertop. But you guys don't forget, the pills are thyroid medication, blood pressure medication, and Tylenol. That's it. And in case you're wondering, you could take handfuls, dozens of those medications at the same time. Nothing would happen to you. It's extremely, extremely rare. So let's look at these clues before we get into what else he says, because this is going to blow your mind. Gene has sunglasses on as if he's going to go walk outside, and a cane, and he's passed out as if he suddenly gave way. His pacemaker results in the minutes and hours before his passing. Nobody knows. Again, this has been upgraded, according to Fox News and MSNBC News, to a criminal investigation, okay? After they found out there was no carbon monoxide. Betty is opening pills, right? But they're scattered around the thing. They do keep saying that there is a space heater on the floor. But I'll be real. If the space heater's on the floor, how do we know it was ever on the counter? I mean, when I have to plug a space heater in, I keep it on the floor too, especially if it's in the bathroom. It's tile. It's not like anything's going to catch fire. And if it's on the counter, it might burn me. So I would keep it on the floor too. On top of that, keep this also in mind. I think this is the most important thing. She was obviously trying to open the pills and they scattered. Again, to me, is it poison? They said they saw no obvious signs. So did somebody come and actually poison them? And they both fell out at the same time. The thyroid medication, was for Betty. The blood pressure medicine, people assume that's for Gene, but Gene did have a pacemaker, so nobody knows whether he was on blood pressure medication. They said, but here's what the forensic pathologist says. His wife was found in the bathroom. They haven't released the information about her findings, except that she did not have carbon monoxide in her. And that's what appears to be from the scene. And from what's been said is that she was found she found her husband in the mudroom. Now, keep in mind, this is Fox News investigative reporting. I do want to say, wherever you think of Fox News, they're very, very good with their investigative reporting. They are now saying that from what appears to be from the scene, it's been said that she found her husband in the mudroom. So they're saying Gene collapsed, okay? And then he says, he thinks that in an agitated state, Betty could have rushed to the bathroom to get Gene's blood pressure medication before falling to the floor while scattering the pills and taking the space heater down with her. Okay, so everybody's thinking the space heater was actually on the counter, but who knows? She may have struck her head on the way down and had some internal injury to the brain that doesn't show up on the outside or bleeding in the inside of the brain. Or that she may also, at 65, had severe heart disease and excitement can cause a trigger to the cardiac rhythm, causing death under those circumstances. I think the first, that striking her head, would be more common. Except for the fact that they had no visible injuries. If she struck her head that much to cause her to transcend, there would be some type of bruise. There would be some type of injury, there would just be something. Do you know what I'm saying? On top of that, I do believe that now that people close to, unnamed sources, but again, they said they investigated that she saw him collapse and then she ran toward him. Maybe she did run to the bathroom and open the pills because she was agitated and tried to run back because she thought he was having a heart attack. But maybe whatever poisoned him also poisoned her. They also say his medical records were in the bathroom, as well as 2 phones. So maybe she ran, saw Jean, she grabbed the medical records, she was trying to open the pills, she had the phones to call 911, and she tripped. Again, for someone that is a very, very good caretaker, that doesn't seem likely. Why would you pull medical records out? And what would you need the medical records for? You know he has a pacemaker. You know he's in cardiac arrest. So, like, it doesn't make sense. She knows what's going on, right? And she wasn't on the phone with 911, and they're saying that they didn't get any 911 calls. And honestly, if you saw somebody with a pacemaker, 95, on the floor, and you know, why wouldn't you call 911 while you're running around doing everything? According to the affidavit, the deceased dog, a German Shepherd, was found 10 to 15 feet away from Betty in a closet in the bathroom. They said 2 other living dogs were discovered on the property. Detectives observed that one of the healthy dogs was initially observed near Betty, and the other healthy dog was observed outside the residence. So here's what the forensic guy said. What is perplexing to me initially with the release of the death of the dog also, which I thought was free in the house. And that's why I think that the carbon monoxide theory was a very good thought with them breathing in the same air. But it turns out from what they say that the dog was contained in the dog was constrained in his cage or kennel and would have died from just dehydration and lack of water during the 9-day period that he couldn't get out the kennel. He noted that his theory could explain why the emergency call wasn't immediately made after Jean experienced cardiac arrest. They said the circumstances and who he was beloved by so many, are what make it so unusual, because heart disease and collapsing and dying with a pacemaker is common in the United States. But the circumstances of the 2 of them isolated by themselves, and that may have been the reason the 911 wasn't called, for example, why his wife was trying to get him some medication and failed. You guys, listen. I do want to say this. First of all, this is really tragic that the dog was actually in a cage, and that's why the dog was actually passed away. This makes sense. How tragic. How tragic. On everyone, even that dog. Imagine being locked in a kennel and not being. But would the dog not be barking? Would the other dogs not be barking? They said, listen, at the end of the day, they are investigating everything. They're saying they're not ruling anything out. Let me know what you think in the comments. But yeah, this story just gets darker and darker and darker. It appears, according to the official affidavit that the police did on the scene that Fox News has obtained, yeah, all tragedy. Anyway, you guys, we'll be following the story. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.